Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, space marines, and even mutants and heretics to the Drop Pod. Good evening, Ben.
Good evening, mate.
You alright? You ready to have some heretics on board?
No, they can sort off.
So the Drop Pod is hurtling towards yet another world, our 8th world, in fact, that we are going to take by storm today. So, a few things to talk to you about. As ever, we're going on to the hobby desk. Ben's been furiously building models. I've been losing games and trying to paint some stuff and getting a little bit distracted. Into the Galaxy of War. I've had a flick through the Deathguard book. Very, very cool. Going to spend 7 minutes talking about that. I don't know about that. Please don't hold me to that. Moving into the mortal realms. There's Firestorm. And there's Shadespire to talk about as well. Not loads on that, more about our excitement, believe it or not. We get a bit excited about these things. Into the community. So I have been off on a wander and got an interview out with one of the Games Workshop store managers near myself. So we'll let you have a listen to his ramblings, and Ben has some comments to make. You'll understand why when we get to it. And then finally, into those crazy old wilds, we'll find something cool to talk about there as well. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll be back soon.
Welcome back, guys, and welcome to the Hobby Desk. But before we talk about what we've been getting up to over the last 2 weeks, I think now is an appropriate time to give a massive shout out and thanks to everyone who's been sending us feedback since we announced that we'd had 1,000 downloads, Dan. Yeah,
it's been quite cool. No, absolutely, guys. It's been
overwhelming,
incredible. So yeah, absolutely overwhelming. If you guys are listening, there's probably a high chance that you know that we announced 1,000 downloads, and we decided we wanted to spread our ramblings. So we've offered a start collecting box set to somebody randomly picked from those people who like the page by the 20th of October. So we put that out there, and Ben and I we had a chat. We said, let's be realistic. Maybe 100 likes on Facebook on top of what we already had would be great. We'd be really pleased with that. So in the first day, we had over 1,000 likes onto the Facebook page. I rang Ben up at about 700, and I think we sat on the phone and didn't really say anything for a little bit of time while we got excited.
But most importantly, really, it's been the amount of people that have downloaded the episode, and welcome to the podcast. Absolutely. We hope you enjoy it.
Yes, we do. And we really appreciate, people have been sharing it, giving feedback. Sure, many people have shared it with people that don't do hobby, just to try and give themselves that extra chance to get the box set. That's all well and good. We don't mind. We just want to spread the word. So thank you so much, guys. It's, as Ben said, it's amazing.
Yeah, so our hobby desk. I have been the most unstructured, mindless, pox-walking moron when it's come to my hobby desk this last 2 weeks, mate. I have not had the sticking power to finish anything. So what I've ended up doing is just flitting between like 3 or 4 projects, but in some way, amazingly, they've managed to turn into a pile of constructed miniatures, which is pretty cool. So I've been building the rest of the 1,500 point army list for a tournament that we're going to enter. We will talk about that later. Really enjoyed doing that because I wanted to have a big chunk of Primaris in there, and so I've been putting together the Dark Imperium box set and the Reavers box set, which I am now absolutely in love with, Dan. That box set, they are fab models,
They
man.
do look amazing, mate. The poses that you've been putting up. Yeah. Somebody commented about loving that box, and I replied saying, wouldn't they be great as a chapter like the Death Spectres or the Mortifactors? I got very excited about that idea for about 2 minutes. I was like buzzing for that.
even if you just pinch their helmet and put them on a different chapter, they'd look great. Because there's enough in there. There's enough in there to make your Reaver squads without helmets, and then have enough to use the helmets on other squads. So if you had like a sort of a reasonable sized Reaver section of your force, you could use the helmets on other things. I've swapped their knives for axes, and just added a few Space Wolf bits, and they look really cool. They look really chapter specific, so I'm really chuffed with them, actually.
Yeah, I think you were saying just before we started, you've given them axes to give them that feel, and I think, yeah. I did give the boss man a chainsword to start with, and I thought, that looks really cool. And then I sat back and thought, well, why have they got knives? They must have knives for a reason. And then I thought, well, it's about them being silent. They've got silent power armor, so the last thing you want is to spend all that time and energy in product development making silent power armor for you then to have them running around bellowing their heads off with a chainsaw going like, doesn't make any sense. So then I took that off and stuck an axe on, and I'm pretty chuffed with how it looks. It doesn't really make any sense to choose to be a Space Wolf either, but it happens.
Look, if we're going to talk about allegiances, Dan.
No. Before we talk about that, though, I've just no. In all seriousness, really important. William Nichols posted a picture of a Primaris lieutenant, I think it is, with the head of the dude from the Deathguard squad. Did you see that? Oh my gosh, doesn't that fit that well? It looks amazing.
Yeah, with the laurel wreath.
That's amazing. So yeah, really, really cool. Really cool.
Dan's stealing that now.
Yeah.
So other than that, I finished. I built that wretched scenery, and I'm going to use the word wretched because that is an effort, mate. That scenery is an effort. There is a lot of mould lines to clean off. It took me 8 hours to clean off the mould lines on 2 boxes. Yeah.
Could you not just leave them on?
The scenery is beautiful. You could just leave them on, but then I'd know that they were there for the rest of my life, and I'd die whispering about it.
Yeah, I don't know why you even said that, mate, because I couldn't be dealing with that.
But yeah, they look great when they're built. I've put photos of them up on Instagram and Twitter, but I'm a big fan of the old City Fight stuff, where actually there wasn't a great deal of mould lines to clean off on those, and you could very quickly construct a very nice looking massive building. These are the exact opposite. They're not particularly big. As it happens, I'm not really sure why one of the box sets is £10 cheaper than the other two, because they are exactly the same size with exactly the same amount of detail. So if anyone fancies enlightening us from head office, I'd be very interested, because I don't get that at all. But otherwise, they're beautiful kits. They're not that big, but God, did they take a time. And I was saying to you before we started, I kind of don't want my scenery to take me 8 hours to build.
Nope.
Unless I'm making a special kind of, display piece or a really special piece of scenery. Then I do. But for gaming scenery, oh man, I'm just not interested in spending 8 hours doing it.
I think that's why so much of the MDF stuff, foreground especially, with the pre-painted stuff that you build, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
GameMap.eu, I think it is, have also got a range of like pre-painted scenery. Because, like you say, people don't want to spend. Well, I say people. Many people don't want to spend as much time on their scenery collection as they do on their miniatures collection. Unless they want to. And I think it's really valid. Like, I really like all the scenery, and I do dream of one day getting around to doing something cool with scenery. Quite like building it, and it is great that there are kits. Let's be honest, it's far better than back when you had to build everything out of egg boxes and a bit of polystyrene, which you can still do if you want to. But it is a lot. It is a lot of work. But then I suppose if you're not like us, where you just flip between army, or you want to move between armies, and you've got a plan for every project, it's another thing that's in the Games Workshop that you can go buy if you run out of like models that you want to get for an army from Games Workshop.
True. One of the cool things about it is that it's very modular. You can build that bad boy in practically any way you can imagine. So I did have a lot of fun. Sat down with Tristan, and he was telling me how I should build it. So, I might have gently guided him towards the way I wanted to build it. I was very, very unimaginative and copied the ones on the front of the boxes because I liked them, and I wanted to keep it simple while I got used to the kits, because I'm sure I'll do more of them. Well, I thought I would. I'm not so sure now. So let's hear about what you've been getting up to, apart from your Kaitan engine.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. I've knocked his head off. It's because I haven't put him in a case yet, which is stupid.
You need to do that.
So,
as it turns out, the seatbelt doesn't work.
Oh no, he's perfectly safe in the car. It's when he gets out that he seems to have hassle. So he's fallen down the stairs. Right, he was crushed by the 8th edition of the 40k rulebook. And he had his head knocked off by... Actually, do you know what it was? This is brilliant. I can't believe I didn't notice that. A box, you know the 30th anniversary Space Marine we spoke about last episode?
Yeah.
It fell off the shelf and knocked his head off. I can't believe I'd forgotten that. I'm just looking... Even that Space Marine doesn't even like me. It's ridiculous. So, anyway, yeah, I've repaired the Kaitan engine, and then what I've done, I've played some games, I've learnt some things, and I've remained completely loyal, dedicated, and focused to my Khorne collection and improving that collection.
Yeah.
And
you bailed.
I also bought Start Collecting
You rage
Eldar.
quit.
So yeah, I've
just like a traitor, just turned your back on your brothers, man. Oh, it's bad.
Oh man, I just couldn't cope anymore. I've been thinking about so if those of you that have listened to Who Do We Think We Are, you guys all know that one of my first armies, or my first real collection, was Eldar, and
yeah,
I loved them. And then I went away from them, and I came back to them. And I did them again, and I did a colour scheme, and I really love the colour scheme. It's very in your face, admittedly. Really bright edged with yellow, but it takes ages to paint. And you will know, if you've listened to a few podcasts, that patience, I'm not great with patience on painting. I want to get stuff done and on the table. I want it to look cool.
What, Mr. Dippy?
Yeah. Yes. Renowned for one of my first Marines dipping it into blue paint. But anyway, moving on. So I've been...
But that army, Dan, that army is something I remember very vividly from when we first met.
What, the Eldar army?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, it was so striking that it went in the cabinet while I was working in the shop. But one of the things that has stuck with me from all the way back then till now is that you were one of the first people I'd seen in that store, in the cabinet, with an army that was completely coherent. Everything fitted together. There was a really strong theme all the way through the army. And there was no other army that I saw up until that point that fitted that as well as yours did. And it stuck with me as a really good example of, just by some sensible colour and basing choices, because I think it was the base that stuck out as well. You can tie an army together and make them look coherent and special, without, being a world-class painter.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could talk for hours on how your army can look great. You don't have to be a world-class painter, but keep your base coats neat, keep your colours consistent throughout the force, keep your basing the same, put some tufts on there, do something with it. Bloody base your miniatures. That's one thing that I just don't understand is when people, they'll spend time painting but not basing. And I know not everybody wants to paint, but well, I suppose it depends what you want to get out of it. But a base can really make a miniature.
It's 40% of what you look at.
So anyway, I bought Start Collecting Eldar. Today, actually, I've sat down with the airbrush and had a crack at the tank. Really pleased with how it's come out. It's not got the same level of contrast as the army did previously, but this time the goal is to be able to create and put these units on the table quickly, because the reason the last Eldar army sort of ground to a halt is I just couldn't cope. It's just taking too long. Admittedly, I didn't paint a great deal back when I finished doing that, so maybe it would be different now. But the fact that I've almost finished a fire prism in about a 3-hour painting session has made me very happy. And I'll do a cool base for it. I'm just looking around at the moment about transfers to go on it.
And stencils.
Yeah, and stencils. I was looking at possibly putting stencils on.
Have you used a stencil before? Because I haven't, and I'm quite interested to know how well they work.
I've used one of my own. I've made my own.
Yeah.
I made one for the flames on my heresy salamanders.
Oh right.
And that's quite cool. It took a long time.
What did you make it out of?
So what what I did is I went online and I found the outline of some flames I liked, put it to the right size, printed it off, then I cut it out of the paper, and then I stuck the paper down to some thin plasticard.
Yeah.
And cut the flames out of the plasticard. So then I had the plasticard stencil.
Yeah.
And then what I actually do is, rather than use the plasticard, I get a strip of the Tamiya masking tape, the yellow tape, and I put the stencil on that and I spray to get an outline, and then I use the tape itself onto the miniature for the stenciling.
All right, okay.
It's quite long-winded, but it works.
Yeah, well, because your salamander armor looks ace, mate.
Yeah, I mean the good thing is, because I put a lot of weathering on, if it seeps or doesn't quite work, I just slap a bit of weathering on. Like, oh, a bolter shell must have hit there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So there you go. There's a first time on a podcast. Really, I think we've made it clear that Dan isn't just a raging heretic.
I know, it's crazy.
Does collect Imperial forces.
I actually bought 2 Forge Fiends. I was really powering into them. I haven't got a lot left to do on them. I really haven't.
Oh, dude, you've got to finish them. Don't leave them on your hobby desk.
Don't panic. They'll get finished.
Don't be a Robject.
Oh, shout out to Rob, creator of many projects, finisher of few.
Very few.
but they all look good.
The ones you do finish are amazing, mate.
Yeah, they're really good. Really good. Cool. Anything else hobby desk wise, Ben?
Definitely.
Oh yes, of course.
They released it early, and I had a chance to download it on Android. Should be out for everyone now. Citadel's painting app. So, I mean, from the outset, I thought this thing was incredibly well made. Seems like it's been put together really nicely. And the first thing I went into was the paint kind of tally. So there's a part in the app where you can tally your paints, the ones that you've got, and the ones that you want. And it wasn't that long ago when I'd taken a photograph, literally, of my paints and gone into Games Workshop, and I was holding it up against the wall thinking, which one of these do I need? Completely ridiculous, but this app would have done it. It's just so much easier, and it's a really good way of keeping track of when you need to put a paint. So if you're running out of paint, you just put it on your wish list and you're done. I have only got one criticism so far, and that is something that Games Workshop do seem to do occasionally, and I'm not sure why, is the picture of the model that they're describing the paint scheme for is definitely not painted in the same way as they're describing. It's not. And I'll give you an example. The Black Templar that they've got as a picture is the one that the Tale of Many Gamers are doing in the White Dwarf. I love that Black Templar army. It's really stunning. Particularly like the fact that he's gone for a bone shoulder pad rather than a white one. And anyway, the app does not describe how he painted it in the same way as the White Dwarf magazine does. So that's a bit disappointing, and might confuse and upset some people when they were just starting out and trying to achieve a look, but unable to. But other than that, it is a phenomenal tool.
Oh wow, that's amazing! So I'm just looking at the app while you're talking about it, and what I didn't realise is if I go into the inventory and I tap in all the paints I've got, and then I go into the bit where I want to know how to paint a model, when I get to the bit, it will tell me whether I own that paint or not.
Yeah. It's good, isn't it?
So what I did find out earlier, though, is there's a really cunning little bit, paint by colour, and then you click on the little symbol of a camera, and you can basically capture the colour of an object, and it will give you suggestions on how to achieve that colour. So I So I now know.
That is really good. I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, if I want to paint something in the same colour as a slightly going off Granny Smith apple, I now know. I know how to do it, mate. It is. It's quite simple. All you've got to do, you've got to get some Castellan green,
amazing
shade Athonian camo shade, layer with Lauren Forest, and edge highlight Strachan green, and then you've got an official 2P's slightly going off Granny Smith apple, just like in my fruit bowl downstairs. So yeah,
that is amazing.
It's brilliant.
So how do you do that? So you take the photograph.
Well, what you got to do is point the camera at something, and then you press on the screen, and it captures the colour.
Oh, what should I choose?
Oh, I tell you what would be interesting. I wonder if it will know.
I'm going to try a metallic one.
What colour I've painted my Eldar tank. The old thing is, everything I click on, it just comes up saying corn red.
It's because you're a heretic.
To be fair, if it had known the colour on the tank, I'd have been amazed, because it's actually Vallejo Model Air. Some kind of green. What colour green is it? Sick green. So, right. Probably, I imagine most people didn't tune into the podcast just to listen to us play with the app. But it's definitely worth downloading. If you haven't downloaded it, and we genuinely haven't been paid to say this, but I don't want you to miss out. I think the first week, every day, they're picking someone who's downloaded the app, and they win all of the layer, base, and shades, is it? It's like 100 paints.
I think so.
So,
yeah.
You know, even if you download it and you don't like it, then, you know, you might still win. A bit like if you like a page for a certain podcast and you don't like it, but you might still win.
No, shameless self-promotion.
Absolutely. So, it's time to... I've just clapped my hands. Sorry, Ben, you're going to have to edit that out. It's time to move on, guys. We're going to go into the Galaxy of War next. So, suggest you guys grab some refreshment. We don't want anybody passing out or falling asleep. You know, we want you awake to write those reviews at the end. We'll catch you soon, guys. Welcome back, guys, to the dark, dank, terrifying place that is Birmingham. No. The Warhammer 40,000 universe. I am so sorry, all of you who listen in Birmingham, but I couldn't help it. No. So, quick, Ben. We need to talk about Warhammer and be somewhat sensible.
No, I don't believe it.
If collecting toy soldiers can be described as sensible. So, what are we going to talk about now? The Deathguard.
No. You're not skipping past. Yeah. No. We need to hear about how you lost your 40k games. Come on, spill the beans.
I'm back.
Where did you go?
Well, I walked out in a rage because you cut me off talking about the Deathguard to make me talk about my confession. So, gaming. I have played some games. I've used my Khorne in battle twice since we last recorded. So I played Ben Chambers and his Eldar army. And then I played Tom down at Big, and he used his rather cool Sons of Ananta, who are his own homebrew Space Marine chapter, who use loads of Centurion suits. So he's got some really awesome conversions, which are very good. So both games we use the open war cards. What I found, I will say flat out now, both games I lost by about turn 3. So it hasn't been going well, if I'm honest. The game against Ben, a bit silly, really. We each had a courier. One model that we picked couldn't be a warlord who was carrying important information or orders to, his superiors. If you slew that model in the enemy's army, you won the game. I probably would have been better off not picking a possessed Chaos Space Marine, although it is hard to pick a model to survive in an army that just runs at the enemy and gets in harm's way. So, on the plus side, I do feel that whatever those vital orders were that guy was carrying, more than likely they were going to have skulls, blood, or slaying in. So, probably not a big issue that they didn't get through, really. No. Game-wise, what was cool? Shuriken weapons. Oh my days. 6s to wound, make them -3 to your save. But they threw so many shots out there. Yeah, mate, it's amazing.
I hadn't picked that up.
Really
That's sick.
Cool. Yeah, it's very good. It's very good.
Is that all Shuriken weapons?
Almost enough to make you want to collect an Eldar army, if you were so inclined. And then went down to Bristol Independent Gaming the next day, actually, and played Tom. We used Open War again. This time it was a sort of escalating battle. So we had to split our armies into three, and then the first lot came on in the first turn, the second turn was the second lot, and the third turn was the third lot. Yeah. Diagonal deployment. And to be honest, we both spoke throughout the game and afterwards, and I literally just ran at his gun line and died.
Yeah.
And both of us didn't feel we got a great deal out of the game. Perhaps a good case for, once we saw what the mission was, having a chat about whether we were going to get what we wanted out of that game.
Yeah. Going back to the gaming contract again.
Yeah, to a point. And just about not having a waste of time, because, Tom, thanks to him, we had a great chat about Warhammer. A fantastic chat. It was really worth chatting to him. It was great to see his models in person, because I've seen them on the internet a few times. It's great to see them in person. Had a chat about my army as well. But ultimately, the game itself, it just was a no-go, really. I got a skull cannon into combat. That was pretty cool.
Into combat?
Then it died. Yeah.
Are they supposed to be in combat?
Yeah, oh mate, they can't hit anything. It's ridiculous. So, following on from that, and there'll be many that won't believe me, but genuinely, I have been considering the Eldar project for some time. But this just tipped me over the edge. I was like, I just can't keep painting red, and because it's not losing the game. I don't have an issue with that. I've lost many, many games, and many of them have been great fun. The issue is when it's boring. Even Tom said it. It's not tactically out thinking. It's just picking up dice and rolling them. And there is other things. Don't get me wrong. There's loads of stuff I can do. Modify my army, play a different way, and I will do that. I'm building the Forge Fiends. I'm getting some more demons. I'm looking to add some bikers, but you need to mix it up. And having just one, current 40k army, I suppose, because I do have some Ultramarines and an old Eldar army.
Yeah.
It limits you a bit. So, I'm hoping to branch out a bit, and then of course we've got this event that we're going to.
Yeah.
And that spurred me on to have a go at building and painting the 1500 points of Eldar. I think it's 2 months. Have we got 2 months?
Yes, it's 2 months, yeah.
It's about 2 months, isn't it? Yeah.
Because I've worked out that I've got 25 models to paint in 2 months, which should be okay.
Yeah. So if anyone has joined us to, for tactical knowledge,
we are not your guys.
And thoughts, yeah. Yeah. You go back to your search engine, have another look. There's some great stuff out there.
Yeah.
Probably won't find it here, if we're honest.
Yeah, considering that's the first time I found out how dirty Shuriken catapults. There we go. So let's go on to the Deathguard Codex, because you're quite excited about that, aren't you?
Well, what I'm excited about is that it's the Deathguard in a codex.
Yeah.
Now, that sounds ridiculous.
No, it doesn't.
One of the things I think's a real shame in some of the Chaos stuff is some of the theme doesn't seem to be there. So, 8 is the number of Khorne.
Yes.
8.
Yeah. Just
to remind people, that's 8. Okay? So, having a minimum unit size of 10 for Demons of Khorne annoys me. It just eats at my soul.
You are an absolute heretic.
It does, though. It does.
I'm sure it does.
And
Khorne's digesting it as we speak.
It just frustrates me. So what I love about the Deathguard book is all of its abilities are like 7 inches, and unit sizes are 7.
Yes.
It's fantastic. Also, really interesting as well. Really fleshing out the background. So I didn't realise until I started reading this that the Deathguard pretty much are still the Legion that they were. They just now obviously are a bit chaotic and smell. So Mortarion still organises his Legion as the Legion. He still fights in a similar way to the Dusk Raiders and then the Deathguard, which I really like. And it's so cool to see a whole raft of new miniatures. It's interesting. We were talking about this the other day, where you've got some armies come out and get nothing, but then other armies come out and you just got masses of miniatures.
Yeah.
And just while they're bringing out new ranges, I suppose, we saw it a lot in Age of Sigmar. There was a number of books that came out that were just reimaginings of miniatures that were already with us. And then there were whole new ranges. I suppose you can't do everything all at once. And if you're going to bring a new faction to the game, you've got to give it a good whack with the old new model stick, haven't you?
I'm not sure that this is the new faction that they were talking about, actually. There's been a lot of hints across the board about there being a new alien race. It's quite exciting times, because it's the first time they've mentioned squats in God knows how many editions as well. So I doubt we'll see a miniatures range for them. It would be cool if they did, but they've been mentioned as an albumin. So that's quite exciting.
Do you know the other cool thing about this codex? Sorry, it's not that I'm not listening to you.
Yeah, you never listen to me, dude.
No, I don't really do. I get distracted. I shouldn't record in the hobby room, that's why.
Yeah, the conversation the other day when, I'm sorry for ranting, Dan, and your response was, I don't mind. It means I can concentrate on something else.
Yeah, that did happen. Yeah.
So what's so special about the dirty old book?
It's green.
Okay.
The colour theme throughout the book is green. I love it. There we go. That is
in-depth product analysis.
Detailed review. That is my heavily detailed review of the Deathguard Codex.
Okay, so I've got some questions for you.
Anybody looking towards us to think about getting us to review stuff? The Deathguard book is green.
I've got some questions for you. What's that little diddy tank? What was that all about?
The diddy tank.
Yeah. And
what that is where that is the natural evolution of the smart car.
No, really, what is
it? Genuinely. So it is called. Here we go. I think it's this thing. Yeah, the Mythic Blight Hauler. So it drives along, sending out fog.
I've got a whole image of Cars 4 with the smart car turning into one of these.
Okay, so sorry, listeners. Thanks for joining us. It's probably over 50% of you are brand new to the podcast. If you're looking for any sense,
you've come to the wrong place.
Not here. Ben's actually losing it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm back together now.
Are you done?
I think I'm done. I don't know.
So here's another cool example that add 1 to hit rolls made for this unit while it contains 3 models, because 3 is the little Nurgle symbol thing. I love it. I think that's really cool, and it's really nice to see the character coming through.
Yeah. So what actually are they, sensibly?
Sensibly, they are. They basically, they move cover around with them, so units that are entirely within 7 inches of them gain cover when making armor saves. They explode on a 4+, which is cool. And again, look, each unit within 7 inches suffers 1 more. Brilliant. I love it.
So they're a way of making what is ever already a disgustingly resilient army even more resilient.
Yeah, but there's a lot of massive weapons out there, isn't there? So, to be honest, there's a lot of stuff that ignores cover anyway, but they're cool. I like them.
No, I think it's in theme, because, I mean...
And the Terminators, have you seen the Terminators? They've just put up some pictures of... I mean, I know we'd seen them already, but they've put up some pictures to say, these are what's coming next week. Oh, goodness me.
They are fab. They're really nice models.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Oh, and when I was in Games Workshop recently, doing the interview for later, I got to see the Plague Brethren box set. Oh, wow. It's so much more than you realise. So there's a little booklet in there that talks about the evolution of those miniatures, from like concept through to design, through to the process on how they make them.
There had to be more, because, I mean, I said this when I saw them. I was like, 25 quid for 3 models. I mean, that must be a mistake.
The irony was, though, that was it not in a previous, not that far before episode, we were speaking about X-Wing, and you said, I can't believe they charged £30 for 3 models.
Yeah, but that's a box set with the rules and all of the tape measures and stuff, and, it's a starter's kit, whereas that was just 3... As far as the White Dwarf article was making out, it did talk about the pamphlet and, cards and all that, but I don't know.
It's really good, and I really hope to see it for all the armies, that type of thing, like a collector's piece. Even more so,
definitely.
Obviously all the miniatures are collector's pieces. But
yes,
it's just a bit special,
It is an irritating thing that there's so many products that it's only when I see them in person that I really fall in love with them. Like the Reavers. I thought the Reavers were a bit... I mean, I spoke about this when they first came out. I thought they looked like they were on parade. They didn't have the spark that I was expecting from that kind of unit. But putting them together, I changed my mind completely. I think they're fantastic. And I think that with those Deathguard, it might be a similar thing. I find it with a lot of things. It's very frustrating. And if you're a Deathguard player, then those kind of little pamphlets on how those products are made they're really quite special, I guess.
It's just really interesting.
Are you reading it now? No, you don't have it with you.
No, I haven't. That's one thing I haven't actually bought.
But I will now.
No, cool. I've got an army to paint. I've ordered my Lynx from Forge World. I love that model. I love that model, and I've always wanted one. And the thing that's held me back is the length of time to paint it. And now that I think I've got a way of painting quicker, that was straight into the cart and on its way.
Yeah, definitely. Because you're actually thinking about building your army list from scratch for the tournament, aren't you? So it's 1,500 points.
I am. It will be. The only thing that might be in the list that is already painted is a unit of 10 striking scorpions.
Yeah.
And they were the last thing I painted for the old army. So
yeah.
And I'm really happy with how they look.
That's a fire prism, a lynx, and 10 striking scorpions for anyone paying attention.
Yeah. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with some jet bikes, all with shuriken cannons. A unit of 10 rangers, because they've got the sniper thing where they can pick out a character even if it's not the closest model.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, with all the synergies out there, if I can knock off the characters that give out those synergies, that'd be ace.
Yes.
And a couple of Farseers, who I was going to have one on a jet bike to get around so his powers could reach, but they've they've really increased the range of guide from like 6 inches back when I played to 24. So,
oh, cool.
If you move and advance, you know, so that's their movement's 7, I think, Eldar, and advance, even an advanced roll of 1 is 8 plus the 24, so that's 32-inch range on that power. So I don't need to spend 50 points on a jet bike.
No.
Not when I'm trying to make sure I've got lots of stuff. And 2 units of 10 Guardians that really should have platforms, but I want more models. Yeah,
I mean, how are you going to get the Guardians there? Because, I mean, the Shuriken Catapult has only got a range of 12.
Well, yeah, but then the thing is, they're only 80 points for a unit. The missions, I don't know what the missions are going to be yet. So you got to have someone to go and hold your objectives and stuff. It's not all about just getting to the enemy, although I know I've just played Khorne for 2 years, but
yeah.
And they are pretty speedy because they've got battle focus, so they can advance and shoot. So they're 12-inch range on their guns, but then they've got a 7-inch move plus D6 advance. Plus 12. So
pretty cool.
Yeah.
And with that 6 giving a -3 rend, that's horrendous.
Well, that's pretty much on every Shuriken thing.
Yeah.
So that's Shuriken catapults as well.
So maths-wise, I mean, if you've got a unit of 10, the rapid fire, so within 12 inches, you're firing once each. So you're going to get 1, maybe 2.
What do you mean within 12 inches you're going to shoot once each? They're assault 2.
Oh, they're assault 2. Sorry, I thought they were rapid fire.
So because they're assault...
Okay, yeah, so you're going to get 3, a potential of, you know, on a normal day, 3 6s in that lot.
Yeah, well...
maybe more.
Well, it's to wound, though, mind.
It's to wound.
So it's 3s to hit with 20 shots.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 12 to 13 hits. There's going to be a couple of 6s in there.
Yeah.
But bear in mind, at the right time, you can guide the units that's shooting, so they reroll fail rolls to hit, and doom the unit that's being shot, reroll fail rolls to wound.
Yeah. Savage. Savage.
But we'll see. I'll come back from the event and be like, I lost every game. I picked up start collecting Ogre Kingdoms.
So I'm going to go for my Space Wolves, and I'm going to. I've gone for. You've put me off most of them. I'm going to go for an infantry army, essentially because I wanted to get as many of the Primaris units in as I could. Oi!
No.
So I said I'm going to go for an infantry army to try and get as many of the new Primaris units in as I could, see how they go.
Well, you wouldn't be going for a drop pod army, would you?
No, I wouldn't. No, no.
No, that's it's going to be good to see, and you're going to get it all painted.
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
Hopefully, yeah. I think now's a good time to give a shout out to a young lad who's kind of popped up on Facebook as his uncle was asking for some community support for him because he's just been diagnosed with cancer. And for us, it's one of the most amazing responses we've seen from the wargaming community. Really kind of heartwarming. But we'd like to give a massive shout out to Brand. Stay strong, dude, because there's Space Wolves everywhere, and we're all shouting for you, or howling for you, as it should be said. And in honour of Brand, I am going to name the commander of my army for the tournament Brand.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's a big love to him.
Absolutely. So, and is there something set up on Facebook, mate? So if people
there is, yeah. So
heard of that and want to help him out,
hashtag Brands Wolves, and you'll pick it up on Facebook and just about anywhere else. But there is a site, a page called Brands Great Company. Brand spelt BRAND S, and they're kind of organising the community response, because quite often when you have a community response that's kind of this massive, it can just end up flailing around a bit, so they're trying to make a bit more of an organised approach to it, and they're doing a really good job. And I think the idea is to try and get Brand a great company, which should be cool. I don't think it's far off, to be honest.
No.
I think some dude is just turned up in his Iron Warriors cosplay suit. Looked amazing. Just turned up at his yeah. Imagine that walking into your hospital room. Brilliant. So great.
Oh, that's great, isn't it? A great bit of community.
It is, yeah, it is, and I hope it's making him feel better.
Absolutely.
So that kind of wraps up our 40k segment, doesn't it?
It does. I think that's everything from the Galaxy of War for this week.
Yep. So let's move our way on to the Mortal Realms, and we will see you guys there.
Cheers, guys.
Welcome back, guys. We're in the Mortal Realms. I've managed to regain my composure a little bit, and we're going to talk about a couple of upcoming things on the horizon for Age of Sigmar that we're quite excited about.
Absolutely.
So the first one is, we haven't had much information about this, but it's genuinely got us excited because when we worked in Games Workshop, one of the products that came out while we were there was the plastic battle map board. Campaign board.
Mighty Empires.
Mighty Empires, and that got us really excited because we played huge campaigns. Like you've got one mounted on a pin board on your wall, haven't you?
Yeah, somewhere? Well, I made my own in the end, and I magnetised. I bought one of those magnetic blackboards and some sheet magnets so that I could magnetise each of the sections. You could do it with the Mighty Empires if you can get hold of one.
Yeah, but maybe you don't need to because on the horizon is something called Firestorm, which we haven't heard nothing about or much about, apart from a 2-page advert in the White Dwarf, and I think they've just had the community site's just released.
Yeah, it has. Coming next week, so that's quite exciting, isn't it? It's just around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of massive campaigns based on a map. Where every battle has a consequence and you come out with an outcome, and this looks like it's going to be just that. Forging Empires box set containing everything you need to run a map-based campaign.
But it's all based around the new great cities of Order. So it says that they're going to put in new allegiance abilities for some of those cities. Probably inspired by I think Chris, Peach, and then Duncan have collected some really nice sort of armies. Do you remember we saw that one at Warhammer Fest in the cabinet?
Yes.
That was themed. That was really nice, wasn't it?
I've loved that every time it's come in White Dwarf as well, that where they've just kit bashed all the different units.
Yeah. It's interesting because it looks almost a bit like a board game, doesn't it?
It does.
Is it a board game that you can then also play games around? Because it's got allegiance abilities, etc., for actual Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, so I think it is. I think it's going to be a bit like a board game with those cards and everything, and then you play the battles when you actually, meet in combat. And what they've designed it to work for anything from skirmish army up to a full.
Yeah, I just saw that. That's really cool.
So it could be really exciting, and I think Age of Sigmar is quite big in my club, so I think that would be a really cool thing to do to kick that off. And the two people who play it most play Chaos and Stormcast, so it'd be cool for Agape Destruction and have all of the different allegiances done. That'd be really cool. Give it a go. Something to hang, to build the regular gaming around.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know how you get on with that, because I've always loved the idea of doing a campaign, but I find it hard to gather the people together on a consistent basis. I mean, we talked about Silver Tower a couple episodes back.
Yeah,
we're still on like mission 5, and we've been going at it for 5 or 6 months because it's just trying to get together. And also I find it's finding people that want to get involved, but also having enough people that are going to bring something to the party more than just being a player, because it's quite a lot of work, especially when you've got other commitments. If you are setting up a campaign and you're the only person that's going to I don't know, generate specific scenery or specific rules, that can be quite a big deal.
Yeah, it can. And the thing is, the more you get involved in it, and the more you think about, we need a specific piece of scenery for this, that, and the other, it can become a massive burden. Equally, the more you get involved in it, that massive burden does play dividends because the games and the campaign and the narrative are all so much better. I remember when we were in Games Workshop Plymouth, one of our customers, Alexander, who we've talked about before, of the Glitter Skaven fame, he set up a 40k campaign and had really worked on the behind-the-scenes narrative. So all of the characters, the army commanders, had developed a personality and were interacting with each other, and the things that were going on impacted into the campaign. I think now, with things like social media, that could be done far easier than back then when Facebook was... I don't even know if it was out.
Dear me.
I don't think it was.
Well, it does look...
Bad,
it does look cool. I'll certainly be grabbing it, because... I suppose,
Yeah,
I
too,
say that, but if I said I played 2 games of Age of Sigmar a month, there's no reason those couldn't be part of a campaign.
Absolutely.
Which would be good, wouldn't it? And,
Yeah.
A couple of the gaming group that I'm in up here have just started new forces, so, an opportunity, I think.
And you could run 2. You could run
2? We've just gone from, it might be a bit much to do,
no.
I'll run 1, and now you want to run 2.
Back. Yeah, back to back. So you start off with the skirmish campaign, and as you build your army through that campaign, you then end up going into a bigger campaign. So you run it a second time through with larger forces. See, it wasn't that stupid an idea, was it, Dan?
No, Ben. No. Congratulations on your one good idea so far.
Well, a clock is right twice a day, even if it stopped.
Yeah, that is true. That's a bit philosophical. Anyway, yeah, so that looks pretty good. Can we talk about Shadespire now?
Yes, we can talk about Shadespire.
I'm very excited. Still, all this time. Interestingly, for those that have listened to a few episodes now, the excitement level doesn't change. You don't just record, get excited for the recording. This just is permanent. All the time. Unless I find that the fridge is empty. Not so excited. But anyway. So, Shadespire's on its way. Now, I just want to speak to you guys about something I want to try and do for Shadespire, and that is, I want to take you guys on the journey that I go on with a local gaming group with my box set of Shadespire. So absolutely 100% going to be getting Shadespire. Good friend of mine, another Ben up here, has said he will paint the Stormcast and I'm going to paint the Khorne, so we can get them done pretty quick. And the idea is, in over 2 or 3, maybe 4 episodes of the podcast, is to talk about the journey, because it's a whole new game. So we'll do a bit of an unboxing, and record that. Then we'll talk about our first impressions of painting the models and what they're like to paint. Then we'll do game and talk about that. And you'll see regular posts coming up on the Facebook showing what that journey's like. Just because it's something new. Some of you guys may be really excited like me and run out and grab it. Some may be a bit like, well, what actually is it? So I just thought that would be a cool way to approach a new product, to be honest, Ben. I want to do it, and I'd like to share that journey with people.
Yeah. I'm probably going to pick it up, actually, because I think there's a lot going for it, actually. It's not the game I thought it was going to be. I mean, when we last spoke, I had a Mordheim-style game in my mind. Be surprised if they don't do something like that in the future, considering the response for Necromunda, which we haven't spoken about again. I can't believe we haven't spoken about that again, but there we are. I'm really excited about it. There's loads of really cool things about it that I think are going to be really exciting to get.
Have you seen anything about its like the length of the game, time-wise?
From what I've seen on the internet, it appears to be relatively quick, but
because what I like is the idea of being able to just have another pick up and play thing. It's why I love Gore Chosen, which, by the way, has gone out of stock on the internet. And I think you said to me, didn't you, that it seems to be disappearing. So if people don't have Gore Chosen, grab Gore Chosen, because, I absolutely grant you, it's a fantastic deal to get those miniatures, but the game itself is a really good laugh. And it's even what I love about it is inside there's the plastic that holds all the pieces, but there's even bits to hold the miniatures once they're built, so it can be completely self-contained. I'm pretty sure, mine still has the miniatures in it painted. I haven't taken them out to use in my army recently, so I can just grab it off the shelf and go and play with it. It's brilliant, really good. So I'm liking the idea that Shadespire might be something similar, but then you can build on it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think we spoke a little bit about this week, actually. We were talking about the club that I go to. I try to go every time it's on, regardless if I've got anything planned, and we have a couple of games that we just have sort of ready to go if no one's got anything sort of worked out what to do. Outlands is one of them. We'll talk about that later. A game I'm falling in love with, actually. But this is another sort of quick thing that you could have just to pull out. You could put it in the boot of your car and turn up, and if someone's just sort of twiddling their thumbs, go, "Do you want a game of Shadespire?" I think it could work. It looks pretty self-contained to me. I think that's genuinely going to be the idea, mate.
Definitely. I'm hoping, because there's a female Stormcast, isn't there? So Harriet has been saying me about painting some miniatures. So I may try and get hold. I want Ben to paint them for the project I've been talking about, but it'd be really nice to try and get hold of a couple and see if Harriet would be up for having a go at those and then playing the game.
I can't imagine that they won't sell those models separately. They sold all of the models in Silver Tower separately eventually, so I can see it happening. Even if it's like a box set for just those three. But I'm massively stoked there's a female Stormcast in there. I was massively stoked there's a female Stormcast in Blight Wars, because it's about time, really, frankly. And I know that's going to be a controversial topic. But, I mean, does it hurt? It doesn't. She looks absolutely epic. Glad to see it. And for exactly the reason you've just spoken about, because if people aren't represented, they don't want to play.
Absolutely.
They just don't have the same level of interest.
Anything, as I say regularly, anything that helps more soldiers get sold, more toy soldiers get sold,
and more people to play
against. Richer hobby, more secure Games Workshop, better models. It's all good. So I'm really excited about the fact that Shadespire is going to be very structured. So it's going to be, the number of outcomes is going to be quite clear, and the possible outcomes will be quite clear. So the rules can be very, very tight. And hopefully that
it is designed for competition.
Yeah,
it
even says that in, like, I think the original sort of release about it, designed for competition. And I think it's really cool. It's just another great example of how Games Workshop has really opened its eyes to the opportunity of appealing to the broadest range of people possible.
Yes, yeah.
And different markets. So the miniatures are coloured plastic, so you don't have to paint them to have a very clear visual. So I think there's a market from Magic the Gathering, there's a market that's playing X-Wing, and lots of opportunity there to get people to pick up something set in the Mortal Realms or in a Warhammer world, which might be the only thing they ever do, but it might lead further as well. Which is brilliant. And it'll be interesting to see how they approach something that's got to be so much more watertight, because you won't get so many response. Although, to be fair, actually, you don't really see it anymore in the FAQs, where the response is almost a bit sarcastic, with kind of, well, you agree that with your opponent. You'll get definite answers, which actually you have been getting more of, which is cool. That's great. Yeah. It's just so cool, mate. I'm sat here looking at the game. So I've got Silver Tower, Dreadfleet, Space Hulk, Gore Chosen, Lost Patrol, all lined up. And I'm sure many people have got many more. I know you have got more. But you could just grab them and play and be immersed in what is a fantastic bit of background. And
My box sets are mainly the old ones.
I love the background. I spoke about the background.
Yeah, you did.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. What's interesting is that the way it's titled implies that this is not going to be the only one.
No, I'm sure it won't.
So it's called Warhammer Underworlds Shadespire, set in Warhammer Age of Sigmar Realms. Warhammer Underworlds feels to me like this is going to be the first of a number of games set in the Underworlds that are, offbeat. And I think that would be cool because the rate in which they're producing these things. I mean, Gore Chosen isn't that long ago.
No.
It's not really that long ago at all. What you'll end up with is the survival of the fittest, which they haven't been producing games at the rate to be able to do that before. But this is a fairly big product in the sense the amount of time that would have gone into development. But in other ways, it's not. It's if this lasts for 4 years and then dies out, then there's no big loss for them. But if it survives, then great. And if they're releasing one every year, and one of those ends up becoming the future Mordheim, where people are still talking about it and playing it, even though the rules are long dead, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So you'll end up with, yeah.
Oh, also, we've seen that we're going to get Fire Slayers are going to appear.
Yeah.
And Skaven.
And an Orc. They've done an Orc.
Well, there's Orcs, yeah. There's Orcs. Definitely Orcs. There's miniatures been seen for Stormcast, Orcs, the Undead miniatures, which are just, wow, they're awesome. And the core miniatures. And then, yeah, there's Skaven and Fire Slayers in the Shattered Glass thing, which is pretty cool.
Yes. I liked the Shattered Glass thing, just as a way of advertising it. I thought that was ace. Yeah, really exciting about it.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Really good.
So the last thing we were going to talk about was how my Goblin army's coming on.
Since you're massive, I'm going to paint 52 or whatever it was.
50 goblins in a week. Mistake. So I've dug out all of my goblin models and found I've got a few squig hoppers, a fair few squig hoppers and netters, quite a few wolf riders actually. So probably not enough to do a completely pure night goblin army. And I wondered what your thoughts were on sticking with a pure night goblin army and getting some extra stuff, or having a goblin army as a general kind of theme.
So we spoke about this a bit, didn't we, a couple of episodes ago, right towards the end of the section.
Because if General's Handbook had come out and had a night goblin or moon-faced goblin allegiance ability, that would have sold me straight off, but they haven't. They've stuck with Iron Jaws and just a general destruction. So I was kind of hoping there was going to be one for the moon-faced goblins, one for the forest goblins, whatever they're called now. But they didn't, so it kind of leaves me a bit open to do what I want, I suppose. So I just wondered what your thoughts were on it before I go rampaging and building everything.
For me, it's really important that visually the army is coherent, as you spoke about earlier with my Eldar. So, rules-wise, I think you've got to have the diversity, because as much as it would be lovely to just do the goblins and squigs, that really is harking back to the old world, and you probably won't get a lot of variety. But if you take your inspiration from what we were talking about earlier with the cities, so the army that Chris Peach has done, and some of the stuff that Duncan has done, it might be that you have a giant, but it's converted in such a way that it fits in as a night goblin giant, or whatever the theme is you decide. So squigs, for example. So Colin, chap up here, he's doing a squig army, a squig theme.
Yeah.
But if you were going to do that, so for example, you might say, well, I would like to have some mega orc dudes, and you might have some with like squigs on the bases and, something to tie it all together.
Yes.
But what I don't think you should do is just pick from all over the range, paint them up as is in the box, and you just end up with a mishmash of units that don't look like an army.
I purposefully painted my night goblins in browns so that they would, rather than black, so that they would tie in better with the other goblins. So, interesting thoughts, yeah. I definitely want to do a giant, and I had thought of having a big moon tattoo on him, on his belly, because that belly is crying out to be tattooed. Be really.
We'll give him a massive moon on a stick.
that would be pretty cool, actually. Yeah,
I think so.
Okay, so now to convert a moon on a stick.
Moon on a stick.
So one of the things I'm quite keen to do is build that once I've finished the Space Wolves up to 1,500 points, is build that army up to 1,500 points, and then start seeking out some tournaments for that. Because I think the best way to learn these games is to really be challenged.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something I would like to do. And I've got to be honest, I'm a bit nervous about this tournament in Big, actually, because I've never played in a tournament. I've avoided them, frankly. So I'm a bit outside of my comfort zone doing that.
I must admit, I've never been big into gaming events. Or I hadn't been. And I was always very reticent to go. But every time I've gone, I've really enjoyed myself. Oh, apart from once, when I went up to Warhammer World, and I actually pretty much dozed off in the middle of a game. Because I'd come from Truro, and it was a bloody long way, and I went on, destroying all my stuff, and I was just like, oh, where's the bar?
It's right next door, mate.
But apart from that, I've really enjoyed events, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
so I think that's something I'd like to do. So
well, it'll be cool. It'll be cool because then each time we get together, because in the new year, I'd really like to do a death army when this new death stuff comes out.
Oh yeah.
So that'd be good, and then we can fight death versus goblins. Woo-hoo.
And they did quite well out of the General's Handbook as well. They got allegiance abilities for all three kinds of death, didn't they? So that's I got a feeling they're going to be used a lot more.
They're quite a small faction at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see what they add to them.
Yes. Yeah, do you think they're going to? Do you think giving those allegiance abilities to the faction is like a prequel to...
Well, we know they are, dude. There's been a model released, shown. He looks a bit like the Witch King. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't, no.
Just at the Nova Open.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, you have to look it up, mate. He looks amazing.
There's a part of me that's massively disappointed by that, actually.
By what?
By the fact that they're releasing more death. Because...
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I'm going to get salty. I want elves. Flat out want elves. And it's about time. And they were rumouring them years ago.
Years ago.
Right at the start. I was listening to a podcast the other day. And its first episode was in 2015, I think. 2016. So just after the General's Handbook had come out. And they were talking about that because the rumour was there was going to be a second box set with the elves in. And that never happened. So I just need the elves.
Dude, you should get a bumper sticker that says, I played elves for Age of Sigmar before there was Age of Sigmar. That'd be brilliant.
Well, yeah, perhaps.
Oh.
Yeah. But no, in seriousness, no. I mean, the models in Silver Tower haven't helped at all because they're just so nice, and I need more of them because I love painting elves.
But as I've said before, when they come, it will be unbelievable.
Yes, yeah, it will.
You're right. It will be really, really cool.
Yeah, right.
It'll be really good.
And then there'll be a whole episode of me going absolutely ape.
Well, to be honest, mate, I think people have had enough of you moping now about your pointy ears for your fantasy realm. So let's move on. We're next up, guys. It's Hail to the Community time. So it's time to look out and about, see what's going on in the hobby. If you want to grab something to drink, or a bit of refreshment, now's the time, and we'll speak to you soon. Welcome back, guys, and it's Hail to the Community. So this is where Ben and I go a-wandering, and talk to people out and about and try and get you some interesting content that isn't just us rabbiting on. So, first off, though, Ben's a little bit excited because I managed to find a picture of the model from the death range that I was talking about in the Mortal Realms and show him. So you like it, Ben?
Oh, mate, it's amazing. It really is. I mean, it is very kind of Lord of the Ringsy, but it's captured the new way they're heading with death really, really well. I love it. I love his sword.
Yeah.
His sword is really, really nice. It's a nice width. It's a nice length. It looks like a proper sword.
I think I love it. He's so sinister.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? Savage looking. I love the fact that he's got like rust pockmarks in the sword.
Yes.
Did I mention I like the sword?
you have mentioned you do quite like this. I was going to talk about how cool I like the bit of fencing at the bottom, but the sword is very cool as well.
I think the thing that I absolutely love about it is the little hourglass.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
It's cool
quite sinister in its own way. Yeah, I love that. Brilliant.
Very cool. So, community. There's loads of stuff we could say about the community, guys. We've already spoken a little bit about some stuff Ben and I want to get involved in and how excited we are about the reactions of the community to some of the stuff we've been doing on Facebook. But we also said that we'd like to get out there and speak to some people and find out some other views. So as you may or may not know, if you've listened to the podcast a bit, you will. I'm up in Bristol. So I'm really lucky. I've got 2 local Games Workshop stores and some independents, including Bristol Independent Gaming, who've got a big gaming hall, and Jim down there. Get on really well with Jim. So I decided to pop into Cribs Causeway, which is probably of the 2, the one I visit the most because I work almost next door to it, and speak to Garrett, the store manager, and just talk to him a little bit about 40k because it's 30 years of 40k, so it's pretty cool, pretty exciting, and just find out a bit about what he's been doing in the hobby, what the store's been doing around the 40k universe and the 30 years of 40k, and bring that to you guys. So we're going to insert the interview now, and then Ben has some feelings based on some of the stuff Garrett said. And let's just put it this way, he might not have been the biggest Space Wolf fan. Hi guys, I'm Dan from the 2P's and I'm with Garrett today in Games Workshop Bristol Cribs Causeway. So that's in the UK. It's a store which is in a mall. Really nice store, good opening hours, so I can come along and buy my soldiers at sort of 8:45 in the evening if I need to, if I've got a desperate need for some soldiers. And Gare's agreed to have a chat to me a bit about his 40k hobby, 30 years of 40k, so spreading the word, isn't that right, mate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So how long have you been in Cribs Causeway, Gare?
In Cribs Causeway about 2 years now, just over. I used to run a store in Portsmouth before that for a few years. Been with the company about 7 years now.
Excellent. Well, we knew each other when I worked for Games Workshop,
yes.
Didn't we? So that's cool. And so, hobby-wise then, how long have you been collecting?
That is a question that a gentleman wouldn't ask, and a lady wouldn't answer. So yeah, 30 years. I started with Rogue Trader, so...
Really?
So it's got to be roughly 30 years.
30 years, same as long as I've been alive.
Yes.
Thanks
for making me feel old. Cheers, Dan.
That's all right, man. So back in the Rogue Trader days then, what was your first 40k model?
It was actually the Rogue Trader Box 1 Marines. That's kind of what everyone, I think, at that time started with. It was that and the big book. There was no starter box set.
It's quite different getting into the hobby now, isn't it?
Yeah. They had their own little charm. I think they were ahead of their time in lots of ways as well, because the plastics after them for a long time didn't have the posability and the customization that actually those original Rogue Trader box Marines had. Now, obviously, it's gone completely the other way, and you've got such lovely models now. The plastic models are...
It's quite a range. So Ben, my lovely co-host Ben, he has painted up recently a couple of squads of the old RT-Leo1 as a little bit of a throwback. I saw some good photos the other day, so I think he'll put them up. Have you still got any of yours?
I think I've got some of the metal models from back then. I think all my plastic ones have
time has eroded them.
Yeah, time has got the better of them. Time and Mother clearing out attics has done for them, I think. But I've still got a few of the old Marines that I thought were fantastically painted when I painted them back then.
Did you ever dip a model into a pot of paint?
No.
No. Okay, well, you're streets ahead of how I started in painting, so that's very good. So you're quite a painter anyway. I can see in front of me, we've got a rather nice banner from the... Is this from the new Ancient?
Yeah, it's from the Dark Imperium Ancient. It's the banner that I'm working on at the minute for Ultramarines.
Yeah, I was going to say in the colour of the best chapter ever.
Yeah.
Certainly not those Space Wolf heathens. That's good to see.
And in fact, Ultramarines was the first Space Marines I started collecting back in Rogue Trader, when the only real difference between the different Marines was the colour scheme. But as a young boy at the time, very, very young, obviously minus 1 year old, so I'm clearly 29.
Yes, absolutely.
I wanted to pick a chapter symbol that I could actually paint, because initially, being a lot of young boys at that time, goths were sort of a thing and grunge was becoming a thing, so I wanted to do the black ones, which was the Dark Angels back then, but then their chapter symbol was a sword with wings on it. I was like, I can't paint that. And then these guys had a big U. I was like, I can paint a U, I will be them. And my love affair of Ultramarine sort of started there and has continued ever since. I mean, I've got every version of Marnius Calgar they ever made, including the one where he sat down on his chair, sort of like...
surveying his domain.
Yeah.
So what do you make of the fact that Marnius has been superseded now by the arrival of Big Daddy?
Well, I'm delighted, right? Because Gilliman is a beast. The model is just incredible. Loved painting it for Gathering Storm, and now in 8th edition he's rather good in the rules as well.
Do you like playing the game as well then, Go?
Yes, I tend towards more competitive play style. And I go to
you put that very politely there.
Ultimately I think sort of covering some ground I think you said on episode 7, I talked about as long as people are open and honest about what they want from a game, there's nothing wrong with anyone preferring to build the most effective list they possibly can and being as competitive as they can, but don't play against that guy who's new and just bought his first tactical squad and wants to learn about the game, you know.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm always very keen saying, so this is what I'm looking for in a game. If someone wants a game like that, come and play me. If you don't want that type of game, either don't play me or let me know and I will
adapt
change
accordingly.
Or decide that I don't want to play. You know, as long as everyone's honest about it. I think that the problem is when people try to play games against someone where they've not been clear what their expectations are, and generally I think it ends up being not fun for either player. It's not actually that much fun when you completely curb stomp someone, because you can tell they're not having a good time, which stops you from having a good time. And likewise, it's never fun being curb stomped.
And we all play toy soldiers for a good time, don't
exactly.
we? So.
And how we enjoy it is all up to ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to get a picture of this cool banner and get it up, mainly to spread the word of the Ultramarines, and also because it looks awesome. So looking forward, and so with 40k at the moment, obviously loads of stuff going on for Warhammer 40k. What are you most excited about at the moment? I mean, you've just mentioned Gilliman.
Yeah, I'm loving the new Primaris Marines.
Yeah.
I've built a Redemptor Dreadnought. I've built 3. I finished painting 1. I love the posability on it because it's one of the things I think Forge World's Dreadnoughts have always had an advantage of being much more modular in the way you can build them however you want. The new Redemptor, you can do whatever you want with it. You can do cool poses where he's running, or he's leaping over stuff. And it's just a really nice model. And I find I'm painting the new Primaris Marines quicker than I was painting the older, smaller Marines, just because the models are just so cool.
Oh, well, that's quite exciting. Anything that's quicker. That's my bag, that is.
Obviously, I do take my time with my painting.
Yes, yeah.
But I think it's because I'm enjoying it so much. Probably the actual hours of painting, it probably is taking longer, but I'm finding it easier to put more hours in because the models just seem to flow off the paintbrush really nicely.
Good. And what have you been doing in the store, or what are you doing in the store to celebrate then this most auspicious of years?
Yeah, well, I managed to knock up one of the, again, going back to that speed, one of the veteran sergeants in about 4 hours that I'm very happy with. He looks very, very cool. And we're just having lots of fun down here at the minute. We've got we do 40 power level every Friday night for 40k, and tomorrow we're going to have our unpainted but a built version of Mortarion to show off to the world, and some of the cool new Plague Marine stuff, and the cool Plague Marine Codex, which I'm really enjoying as well. Looks like it's gonna the Deathguard Codex is gonna really feel like Deathguard. I think that's one of the great things they've done with the rules now. It feels like it's embodying the storyline much better than maybe it has done in the past, where every army really feels unique.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose in Age of Sigmar they split up the armies a lot, didn't they, and gave them more unique stuff. So it's nice to see that flow across, which is really cool. I
agree. I think it's great. One of the things about Age of Sigmar as well is that, again, it's the armies feel much more like they say they are in the background from it. The Khorne armies just run at the enemy and hack everyone to bits.
It's probably best at this point we don't talk about Khorne in Age of Sigmar, because I'll just be off and it just going mad. So what we'll do,
because they are rubbish.
Whoa, that's it, no more spending in this store. Right, so lastly then, looking at 40k, what would you love to see done in 40k that isn't available now, or that you don't know about, obviously, because you know everything miles in advance as a Games Workshop store manager. You have all the detail.
I have all the details of what's coming out in the next day, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I mean, at the moment, I would love to see more Primaris stuff. I would love to see like some of the unique chapter stuff coming to Primaris, some Death Company Primaris, Sanguinary Guard Primaris were awesome.
Khorne Berserker Primaris?
Yeah. Well, I'd love to see some Khorne Berserker models.
Yeah.
Khorne Terminators, more Primarchs on the loose. A big Wolfen Russ would be cool. Part werewolf, part Primarch.
Russ?
All badass.
We don't need anything like that.
No. Well, we need some sort of dog eater to keep
everything that's sorted out.
Yeah, so Gilliman's got someone to take on walks.
Whoa! So not much of a list then.
But yeah, we haven't got any Primaris bikers. I'd like to see them.
True.
You haven't really got any Primaris close combat units, so I'd like to see more stuff like that.
See what they do when they get in
Death
close.
Company, like Thunderwolves, Primaris wearing Thunderwolves. That would be cool.
Yeah, absolutely epic wolves.
Yeah.
So most important question then, because I've taken a bit of your time,
that's all right.
Which I really appreciate. What is your favourite podcast to listen to, Gareth?
Well, I like the 2P's in a Pod one. It's the greatest podcast, I think, in the history of mankind.
In the history of mankind, excellent, and still will be in the 41st millennium, we hope.
Yes. I'm pretty certain Gilliman listens to it.
I'm convinced.
He downloads every episode.
Certainly the Emperor, because he's obviously already among us. He just hasn't revealed himself yet. So, well, that's great, mate. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me. As I said, guys, with Garrett in Bristol Cribs Causeway, great store, great staff. Well, most of them. Chris is all right. Chris is waving at me. So, yeah, head down, have a chat to them. Great stuff on painting, gaming, whatever you want to do, guys. Cheers. So there you are, guys. Thank you again to Gare for doing that for me. He was real busy. When I got to the store, he was just showing somebody how to do some painting for the first time and running them through their first ever game. But he still made time to have a chat with me, which was really good of him. Ben, you have some thoughts.
I can't believe you didn't push him down the stairs for that. Leading Russ around on a leash. And I've never heard such an utter pile of heresy in my entire life. And Gilliman leading Russ around on... I can't even speak, man. I'm so angry at somebody.
I thought you were going to admonish me for talking about Khorne Berserker Primaris Marines, to be honest.
Well, I mean, there's so much heresy going on in that interview, and you're just playing off each other. It's like two happy heretics getting on with each other. Great.
I must get... It's funny, I said in the interview that I would take a picture of the banner and put up, but I then walked out of the store and forgot, so I need to go back. I must struggle and go back to Games Workshop.
What a shame, dude.
Goodness. and get a picture of that to get up. I'll try and sort that out before this.
No. So, in all seriousness, it's great to hear from a guy who's been playing 40k for that long, even if he has horrible views on Space Wolves. But yeah, I mean, you spoke about the RTB-01 Marines, and he's absolutely right. Those models were light years ahead of their time, posability wise. I think second edition took a massive dive when it came to that. For the plastic kits. So, I mean, I really enjoyed putting together those models. It's probably about time I put together a series of photographs and put them up on some way or another. But a couple of things I did want to sort of respond to. I really would not want to see a Leman Russ. I think that would devastate me, actually. I think I'd be absolutely gutted if that's the way the Games Workshop went with it, because Russ was in complete control of the Wolfen. It wasn't an issue for him. So to have him come back as some kind of bestial, I use the word mutated individual.
He has actually already returned, dude. He just got lost and ended up in the mortal realms, being ridden by a disgusting gardener.
No. I'm not the only one who feels like that. I mean, there's a couple of Space Wolf players that I know who would be really, really devastated by that if they did that. So,
please don't do that, because I can't be coping. I'd have Ben on the phone; he'd be flipping out. Yeah. So this is my plea to Games Workshop. Please don't do a Leman Russ. I can't deal with that.
No, I can't deal with that. But otherwise, I really liked his version of the Primaris Sergeant. Did a really cracking job with it. Actually, it was probably his picture of it that was the thing that sealed the deal for me to go and get it.
It was nice to see it. Really nice.
Yeah.
Good. Well, moving on a little bit. So, community. It's really important that we just talk a little bit about community around the 2P's and trying to grow it, guys. So thank you again. We did say at the start, but thank you to all those who are engaging and getting involved. Just a massive request from us. If you're really enjoying the podcast, please let us know. We love hearing what you guys think. If there's something you're not enjoying or you think we could do better or something you'd like to hear about, let us know that as well, because we want to know that. And if you can find your way towards making sure you've liked the page, following us on either Twitter, we're on Instagram as well, mainly Ben, as I just mash the keys on my phone trying to get it to work. And even things like leaving reviews on iTunes and Facebook, they just all help get our ramblings to more people. So whether you think that's an appropriate thing or not, it's up to you guys, but that would be great. And on Instagram and on Twitter, we've been setting up and using some hashtags. So if you've played a really awesome game and you've got some photos, those sort of things Ben and I love to see. So it's hashtag 2P's gaming. If you've been playing some games, you've got photos of that, and hashtag 2P's painting. If you've got a particularly cool model, you'll notice we do sort of model of the day every couple of days. And it's great to see models for that. So if you pop stuff into hashtag 2P's painting, you might see one of them come up in there. Ben, I know you've been making sure sort of Twitter and Instagram are moving. Is there anything key that I've forgotten there for the guys to make sure they can get involved?
No, just that you'll find us at the 2P's podcast. That's both on Twitter and Instagram. We're both pretty new to both of those. So, bear with us. But it's all about the whole thing. The whole reason why we're on those mediums is to see what other people are doing. We absolutely love seeing other people's games, other people's models, and hearing about what people are getting up to, because we're big fans of the wargaming community. We think that there's so much talent and so much energy in it that it kind of uplifts us and drives us to do things like this podcast.
Those people that have listened to Who Do We Think We Are will know that Ben and I have done this mainly because it gives us a chance to chat. every couple of weeks we have a chat. We want to talk about what it's like being, doing a hobby and building it around a family.
Yeah.
But mainly we just love talking about war games. And if we record it and put it online, we can tell our wives that we're actually doing something sensible-ish and just have a chat. So there's genuinely no other motive really, guys. It's just Ben and I chilling of an evening, having a chat about the hobby. So it really is inspirational how much you guys have interacting and getting involved. So thank you for that. Talking about interacting, so when I was at Bristol Independent Gaming recently, chatting to some guys who are setting up the Chaos Cup. So it's a Blood Bowl event that they're going to be doing. Yeah, so Blood Bowl League. They've asked me about getting involved. I have to try and find some time to squeeze in some Blood Bowl. But if anyone is in the Bristol area, they are looking for people. So if you're listening in and you want to get involved with the Chaos Cup, just get in contact. Probably best because it's a secret group. So if you contact us through the 2P's page, I'll make sure to get you guys linked up so you can play some Blood Bowl, because I know there's a lot of people very passionate about Blood Bowl.
Oh, isn't it just? It's a great game.
Absolutely. And don't forget as well, and I'm really sorry to just hammer with the promotion, but up until the 20th of October, got a chance for you and to get your mates to do it as well, to like the 2P's page. And we'll be giving away a box set, the Start Collecting box set, to one randomly picked person. And we just have to do a massive thank you and shout out to Jim at Bristol Independent Gaming, because Ben and I had decided, you know what, we'll chuck in the UK, it'll be 25 quid each and buy this Start Collecting. But Jim has really kindly come forward and donated it to help get the P's out there and chatting to people. So that's pretty ace, and he definitely deserves a shout out for that. So thank you, Jim.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Really appreciate that.
That's really cool. So I've already allocated the 25 towards something for me Eldar. So guys, that's the community. Bit of a snapshot, a bit of something different. Let us know what you think. We're going to move on to the final segment, which is Into the Wilds. We'll catch you again soon.
Hi guys, welcome back, and we take our strides out into the wilds, where we talk about just about anything that takes our fancy, really, because although Games Workshop stuff takes up most of our time, we do come in contact with other things, and we do play them, we enjoy them, and we want to talk about them. So this week I'm going to have another chat about Outlands, because I've actually played nothing but Outlands this last 2 weeks, Dan. So our club has was kind of had a sort of a rule that, or an unwritten rule, that if we didn't get anything organised, we would have Outlands as a kind of backup game to sort of have something to do when you turned up. And the more I play it, the more I enjoy it. It's a really cool little game. I don't know if I've spoken about the details of it before, so I thought I'd have another sort of chat through it. So it's basically a small skirmish game set in a world called Paradise, which is a sort of post-apocalyptic, or run-down outer rim planet. And you play with just 5 models, and it's a action-reaction style game. So if you have the initiative, you get to make actions. If you fail to make those actions, then your opponent gets to make reactions, and they can store those up to the end of the turn and use them all at once, or they can use them as the game progresses. And you level up your gang in between missions, and the primary goal of the mission is to collect spice, which you can sell or use to upgrade your equipment. So it's all quite a simple premise, but it leads to some really tactical, really quite tense moments where you're trying to work out what you can do, bearing in mind you may not get a chance to respond predictably, which is quite difficult actually, because I mean, like the last game I played, I set this whole situation up where I thought it's great. I've got +2 initiative for the next turn, so I should be able to get the initiative and do what I need to do, and then I rolled a 1. So I didn't. And he got to make a whole other turn, which can be really challenging, and I'm really enjoying it. As a kind of a quick pickup game, I'm really impressed, and I can't rate it highly enough actually at the moment.
It never really matters on the game. A 1 always gets you.
It does, yeah, it does. The games I played on Friday, my gang leader has a chainsaw, and I just thought in a moment of Space Wolf, ran up this bridge to engage his gang leader, and got in a massive brawl with him on the top of this bridge, and then his mate joined in, and then there was 2 versus my gang leader, and she held him off. And then I managed to get another one of my team members up there and finish the pair of them off. It was pretty brutal, but really tense, because for a moment when he charged in the second gang member, I thought, that's it, she's gone for good. No, it's really good. I really enjoyed it.
It's quite good to have a pickup game, isn't it? Like, so if like you say, you haven't arranged something, you still get that game in.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really cool playing with the guys who made it.
Yes.
I think that's really, really special, because then you can hear about why they've made some of the decisions and what their feelings are on it. And, and it's quite stupid, because I was like, oh, you know what you should have? You should have ghillie suits for snipers. That would be really cool. And he's like, yeah, it would. They're in the book. So, yeah, love it. Great. And what's really cool about it is the scenery. Is that kind of post-apocalyptic or run-down kind of genre of scenery. So it's really going to cross over for me for Fallout when that comes out, and Necromunda when that comes out. So I'm working on a kind of industrial sort of wastelandy set of scenery. Hence the massive scenery building extravaganza today. And they'll all cross over. So I'm quite excited about it. And I've picked up. Do you know I was talking about Reaper Bones a couple of weeks ago? Was it last week or 2 weeks before?
Yes.
Reaper Bones. So Ross, one of the guys who made the game, very kindly gave me 5 Reaper Bones sci-fi models for it. So flexible plastic, really cool models. And as a result, my rulebook and my models and my gang sheet fit inside a plastic slip sleeve. So that's just how easy it is to pick up, literally. Just grab it off your shelf.
Oh, well, that's good, isn't it?
I think so. I think it's really good. So yeah, made by Shades of Chaos Games. So if you're floating around the internet, I'll put up some links to that, so you can easily find it. And sort of tying into the community, at the moment they're running a promotion where they're quite big on interacting with the community, actually. So they're running a promotion where if you play games and collect relic pieces, you can cash those relic pieces in for a limited time available special weapon that they announce on the internet. So today they've announced one that was named after Ian Henderson, Hendy Badger. I think it's called the Dirty Badger or something like that. And it's an assault rifle. And it's an assault rifle. And you can trade in your relic points for it. So, if you're interested in getting involved, then head over to their site, check it out, and start collecting your relic bits so you can get those special weapons.
That's cool. I know you've been really enjoying it. When I get down at some point, it would be great to have a go. And
it's kind of caught me by surprise, actually, because when I first talked to the guys, I said, "Oh, what do you play?" And they told me the games that they played, and I was like, well, mainly at the moment I'm interested in 40k and Age of Sigmar, and because that's all I've got time to play and paint. And Ross was like, oh, we play Outlands as well. It's a game that we've made, and it only takes 5 models, so it's not a big sort of investment. And so it has sort of taken me by surprise, because I wasn't looking for a new game.
No.
And when you're not looking for a new game, I always approach a game with a bit of skeptical kind of reservedness, because I'm like, oh, do I really want to get into this? Because more time, more energy that I don't necessarily have. And actually, I I've fallen in love with it. Mainly because I think the guys are really passionate about it. They're genuinely passionate about it. It's their baby. And that just rubs off very quickly. Yeah.
That's good. That is good. You're going to share the links, yeah?
I'm going to share the links. I'll share the links to the Outlands community, and I'll share the links to Shades of Chaos Games, because they are working on other games, sort of spin-offs of the same rule system.
Yeah.
One of them is a zombie game called... Because they use the Rise system. The game, the mechanic that he's developed is called Rise. And he's called it... They call it Rise of the Dead or something. It was a pun on that. But... from what I can work out, every turn, the more noise you make, the more zombies appear. And it's not many, but then, they were showing me pictures of the game where players had managed to get themselves in a right pickle, where they're like standing on a shipping crate with like 30 zombies surrounding them. What do you do? And it just looked really cool. So, they're working on other things. So I'd keep an eye on them, because I think actually, they've got a lot going for them, and this game's got a lot going for it. So, I'm happy to give it 2 thumbs up from me.
Cool. Good. Well,
have you got anything to talk about in the wilds?
No, I'm not a very wild person.
They call you a vault dweller in Fallout,
Would they?
Person you just stay in your vault and don't go out into the wastelands.
Yeah, but it's not... I want to go into the wastelands, but there's a lot that needs doing in the vault.
Needs patching up.
I was just looking around just now, and I was thinking, right, into the wilds. Oh, there's a cool box. I've got the Waterloo starter box set from Black Powder and Warlord Games.
Yeah,
it's got like 144 guys in it, and it looks amazing. French and British. But when am I going to paint those? Just makes
When did you pick that up?
Oh, I don't know. 6 months ago. I've opened it. I've had a look. It looks good.
I've always wanted to do a Redcoat army.
Oh, mate, it looks so good. So, I know you're going to say, oh, you're back talking about Games Workshop. I obviously love Age of Sigmar, but what I did love about 8th edition was the ranks and stuff, and I love the visual of Napoleonic war games.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to do that, but that is not for now. I have got an Eldar army to do, and a Khorne army to refine considerably.
Slash, throw it in the bin. Throw it in the bin.
No. Right. So, I think that's us. Enough ramblings for another couple of weeks. When we are going to be coming back to you for episode 9, which is pretty exciting, really, isn't it, Ben? That we've got up to episode 9.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised we've managed to get through the whole of episode 8 without you making a mention of it being a Khorne 8 episode. I don't know.
Do you know why? Because I knew that ultimately I didn't need to mention it, because the darkness in your soul would see you mention it in the end. And I have been proven correct. Guys,
now we're past all those numbers. We're just into the clear now. We've done 7. We've done 8. How much worse can it get?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Mind you, Zinch's number is 9, so we might all spontaneously change into something different next week. Or next 2 weeks.
You mean like
2 weeks' time.
Spontaneously changing your army?
Yeah. Guys, it's time for us to go. Thank you very much for joining us. As ever, any comments, anything you want to say at all, please let us know. Have a great couple of weeks. Have a great time with your hobby, guys.
Catch you later, guys.